Welcome back to that Heartbreak Hogs podcast. Sid, are we ready to talk coaching at the University of Arkansas and who's going to be the head hog? How are we feeling after this
Uh,
week, Sid?
Feeling a lot better after last week, but we'll talk about it. I mean, yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So, my take on this is Sam, by winning this game, helped himself out a lot, but his seat is not secure because I mentioned in the last video where we did a reaction to Arkansas beating Tennessee. I said that fans have short-term memory. And as much praise as I'm going to give Sam for this, I'm not being negative about this. I am stoked about this. I'm stoked about this coaching staff as of right now. I'm so excited about this game, and but that can change week to week. If we get absolutely thumped by LSU or Texas or Ole Miss or Missouri at the end of the year, that feeling can change drastically, especially if it's two thumpings or three thumpings or back to back to back close one score losses. So I just want to put that out there. Yes, it helped tremendously because you have less steps you have to take now as Sam Pittman. Now to get to 8 wins, you only have 4 to go versus you would have had 5 to go with less games available, you know? So now, you're a little bit closer. And to me, I'm still at that 8 win mark. 6-6 after a big win like this, that means that you're going to lose the majority of the rest of your games. And I just don't know how that taste is going to feel for everybody if that happens. 7-6, that means that I think you would get one more big win. So we go 6-6 if we beat Louisiana Tech and Mississippi State. So one SEC win, and then a one of those pay to play. So that would be 6-6 or 6-6. I just don't think that that's enough. 7 would mean that you maybe beat an Ole Miss or an LSU. That would look nice, but I don't know if that would look like, hey, we've got it figured out. We can land high foreign and 5-star recruits now because we're on a road to 9 or 10 win seasons. What's your take on this, Sid?
Yeah, I've got a lot to unpack here. In terms of, we had talked about it last week.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if Sam wins and the Razorbacks win a game that they're not supposed to, right?
Right.
If it's a Tennessee game or a Texas
Yep.
game, what happens? And your answer was, hey, it still needs to be that same record. And I think that's still what your thought process is. We still
Mm-hmm.
need those 8 wins. And
Yep.
so that's why I agree. And I've talked to a lot of Razorback fans as well. They agree that we're not there yet. You can't
Yeah.
say Sam's job is secure after this game. It certainly helps, in my opinion.
Yes.
I talked to fans.
Because we did win that one. We won one of those games we're not supposed to.
Right.
So we're on the right track, but can
Yeah.
we continue? You
Right.
know?
And so some of the fans that I did talk to, they said, no, I know Sam won this game, but I still don't think he's a guy. But they're also, I think in my head, we're delusional in thinking that we could keep Bobby P and T Will, and Sam could just, and if we get a new coach, that new coach would keep Bobby P and T
Yep.
Will. Um,
It's not going to
I
happen.
don't see that happening. I see that if a new coach comes in,
Mm-hmm.
him cleaning house, him bringing
Yep.
in his own guys. And as much as I would like to see that happen, I just don't see it happening. And I do want to
Yep.
keep Bobby P and I do want to keep T Will, because especially T Will, like I
Mm-hmm.
really want to keep him because he's a solid guy, and we need him in this
Yep.
defensive scheme. And to that end, I'm still in on Pittman because of those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's a long way to go for the season. I agree. We've got to win some of the games that we definitely have to win the games that we're supposed to, like you
Right.
mentioned, Mississippi State,
Mississippi State,
LA
La Tech.
Tech, Louisiana Tech, and
Hmm.
then Missouri as well. I think I had talked about this early in the season. I know they're still ranked or whatnot,
Hmm.
um, but after I had talked about them being a little bit overrated, and
Yep.
especially after last week. I'm not saying that it could have just been one fluke game for them,
Yep.
but that's a
They didn't
game
look
that I
like a
think we
top
can
10
win as
team.
well.
They're definitely not a top
Exactly.
10 team. No.
And so that is another team that we should beat, and that gets
Hmm.
us to that um, 7-8. Now, the fans that I talked to, they also mentioned, would he retire because of health reasons? And if he retires, then does Bobby P and T will stay on?
Yeah.
um, because that is a possibility, and that has been a concern for Coach Pittman. And I hope he is doing well. We all want the best for him.
Right.
It's not anything personal. It's just
Yeah.
in terms of his health, is he able to continue on
Hmm.
coaching this team next year? And those fans didn't believe so. I personally think I don't know. It's up in the air. That's a personal reason, and it's going to be depending on him for that reason. If he retires, great. If he decides to stay, great. But I do think him having to keep T Will and Bobby P is going to be big.
Yeah.
Um and again, long way to go in the season. I know the fluke game we talked about. Hopefully, it's not a fluke. We just need to win out the games that we're
Hmm.
supposed to, and we can't lose those games. And in that case, I mean the gear in Pittman's, like, it puts the driving wheel or whatever in
Yeah.
Pittman's hand,
Right.
and Pittman can choose what he wants to do. If this doesn't happen, then I don't think Pittman's going to get that choice. I think that choice is going to
Hmm.
be made for him.
Right.
So if I were him, I would want to make the choice at
Hmm.
the end of the season if I want to stay or not stay. Um, and I will know by the end of the season if that happens or not. As for now, I'm saying he stays because we are, as long as we win the games that we're
Yeah.
supposed to win. Yeah.
And it sounds like that you're kind of assuming that he's going to get to 7, maybe 8. That is
Yes,
definitely
exactly.
doable.
That's
Hmm.
my assumption. And going into the season, it was a 7 game
Yeah.
win that I had for this season. So I think
Hmm.
that's still achievable. Um,
I was at
no,
10.
I know you were at 10. That's
That's
still
still
also
achievable.
possible. That's still possible. And you never know. But
uh,
but I think that 7-8 is certainly is possible. And then
yep.
to give him that choice is all going to be depending on him and the choices he makes.
Yep.
Um, he cannot make. I mean, I know that Tennessee didn't make these choices, but he cannot make these choices as he has. I'll continue saying this, where we're going for fake field goals and fake punts and where they're not needed, and
Yep.
trusting a kicker
There
and when to
wasn't
call a timeout.
no fakes in
Um,
this game.
no fakes in this game, but when to call a
Hmm.
timeout, when to kick the ball,
Yeah.
when to not kick the ball, when to go for it on 4th and 1.
Right.
These are all his choices that are going to add up, and are being counted for the whole season as well. Um, so
Yeah.
outside of the wins, I think that is also going to be dependent on what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the other thing is if you get to 8 wins, like let's just say 8 here, let's disregard 7. Let's aim
Mhm.
higher. And let's say we get to 8, hell, even get to 9. If you get to 8 or 9 wins, how do you keep Petrino and T Will? Because those guys are going to get offers other places. That's the other side of this. Do you want Pittman knowing, let's just put a hypothetical situation, they get to 9 wins, but he's losing all of his staff and has to find a new staff? It would be awesome if Bobby was here 2 years because that offense is going to be cooking next year if he's here next year. and that defensive unit is going to be ready to go next year if T Will's here. But what if we lose one or both of them by the end of the year because we did so well? They're getting attention, head coaching offers at smaller schools like T Will, for example. I don't know if Bobby would leave for a head coaching job at a smaller school. If it were something like Florida, maybe. But, because that's the other thing is when you do really well, these other programs try to take your coaches, and I think that's probably a lot of what's happening at Mizzou is they probably, and I don't know the exact situation over there, but I'm assuming that a lot of those coaches after a 10-win season probably got plucked out of there and that they have a lot of new staff over there. So there's that scenario is like, would you want Pittman if, let's start with one, you can only keep one, Bobby or T Will, and let's just say Bobby, because T Will wants to go and try a head coaching gig somewhere at a smaller place. Would that be enough? And then give your answer also if both of them are gone, Sid.
That's tough because for both, absolutely not. I'm sorry,
Even
but
with 8
like
wins, even with 8 wins,
even with 8 wins, 7 wins, 9 wins. I'm saying if we got rid of Bobby P, or if not rid of, if Bobby
yeah.
P and T Will left and got
Mhm.
to another school,
Right.
I don't think it's enough for Pittman to stay.
Mhm.
Um, I with just the decisions he's made in the post game interviews he's had, I just think I
It would be
I
kind of
don't think it
scary,
might be pushed.
honestly.
It might be him. Like again, it might be he might just be pushed into retirement instead of
Right.
being like let go
Yeah.
because he loves the Razorbacks,
Right.
and I still believe
And
that
that'd be a
he
nice
does
high note to leave on,
for sure.
Mhm.
Exactly, and then he knows what he has in Bobby P and T Will right now. So I
Right.
think he would possibly consider it as well on his end.
Mhm.
I don't know that for sure because I'm not him,
Yeah.
but I think he would consider it if those guys left in his
Mhm.
mind, and that's if he gets to those wins again. Now, if it's one or the other, if it's Bobby P, do I think he stays? It's more likely he stays, and we
Right.
get those wins.
Yep.
Um, Same with T. Will. I think it's more likely he stays. Um, but man, I would just want both.
I know.
I know it's asking for too
Yeah.
much, but
Oh man,
um,
that would be concerning if we didn't get either of them and Pittman stayed. And it's nothing
yeah.
against Pittman, and we're not rooting against him. It's just from the past. And whenever we switch over to a new offensive or new defensive coordinator, it just has not been so fluid. I guess the only defensive coordinator we switched to is T. Will, which was an upgrade, so I'll give him that. But over the years, the defense under Pittman had started slipping before T. Will got here, and it is going to be rough. Where it's just like, I don't know if he's got what it takes. And here's the other thing: is I feel like that Pittman's goal should be college football playoffs and national championship. I think that should be the goal of the program.
Hmm.
And if 8 or 9 wins is the goal of the program overall, why? I mean, we've got boosters, we've got facilities, we have a fan base that is awesome. Um, I mean, I watch a lot of SEC podcasts and national podcasts, and they shout out Arkansas fans as being their favorite part of their audience all the time. So I that's the other side of this is we want a guy in here, and I'm not saying it's not Pittman. I don't know. He's never specified that. But if you listen to Coach Cal's press conferences and you listen to Pittman, Cal says championships. He says NBA players, professionals. He talks about getting people to the highest level possible. I don't hear that from Pittman. I hear we're getting better, and I'm not trying to shoot shots at the man. I'm just observing and kind of digesting what's going on and interpreting it. So that's the other thing here is what is the narrative here? What is the goal here? Are we an 8-win or 9-goal team, or are we a college football playoff goal, potential national championship team? You know? What are your thoughts on that? Do you see Pittman as being a playoff runner-up, like getting there?
I can I just I mean I've agree with you. We cannot settle for mediocrity as with this fan base, with this
Mm-hmm.
big a fan base and this atmosphere. We just cannot settle for mediocrity in a 7 game, an 8 game, and that being good enough every year
Yeah.
in, year out. I know we are better, could be better than already better than we were last year. Um, but again, that's like saying, okay, we're still mediocre, but
Mm-hmm.
we're at least below better than we were last year, and but just mediocre. And I don't think that's what this fan base deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, we college football playoffs should, yes, for this fan base should always be the goal.
Yeah.
And if we're not getting that, I don't know. I mean, I still think if he's able to keep both, and
Mm-hmm.
if we're able to have this team,
You would think
I
that's
think he
college football
stays.
playoff potential stats.
Exactly.
You would
And
think,
I love that Bobby P and T Will, and I love that they're on the field, calling these
Mm-hmm.
plays on the field rather than sitting up in the box
Yeah.
and seeing from above head. And I love that they are actually talking to these players and telling them to get their head in the game. And
Right.
um I've just seen a little bit less fire from Pittman, but
Yeah. You
again, I
mentioned
think
that the last time too. Yeah. That it just seems like
mhm.
that fire was different, like in that
Then when he
2021
first
season.
joined, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's I don't want to speak to his health concerns, as
Yeah.
I'm not fully sure, and that's a personal matter. But
Right.
if it is for that reason, um, if it is, I'm saying, then you do want to consider what's best for you, and whether that is to kind of leave out on top, or leave in a good position where
Right.
you've given it your all. Um, and I think that's okay. I think fans will respect you more,
Mm-hmm.
and will have no hard feelings. Also, um, now if you lose and if you're not winning games,
Yep.
then yes, Arkansas fans are very passionate, and
Yep.
you know this.
And they have short memories.
They have short memories. They're very passionate. They will come
Mm-hmm.
for pitchforks,
Yep.
with pitchforks,
If there's no
and
wins in that short memory, you know,
they
it's going to be
they
tough.
will easily. I know they're already wanting for him to leave, right? And this is
Right.
even after we beat such a big team like Tennessee. Like
Right.
he needs to be able to prove himself a lot more, and
Right.
this isn't.
And
And we expect a
LSU,
lot more.
great opportunity for that. Great opportunity. Ole Miss, you've done phenomenal against Ole Miss at home. Great
Yeah,
opportunity. And don't screw it up by losing at Mississippi State. And don't screw it up by hosting La Tech and not waking up for the game.
right.
You know?
Just exactly. Even just having those wins,
Mm-hmm.
um, would prove himself. But again, this is all ifs and buts, and
Yep.
what happens and what doesn't happen.
Just
As of
hypotheticals.
hypotheticals, exactly. If as of now, we've discussed it. If
Mm-hmm.
he's able to keep T Will and Bobby P, he should stay,
That's the
and his
best case
health is good.
scenario. Mm-hmm.
That's the best case scenario.
Yep.
With Bobby P and those wins, I think he stays. It's his choice. If he wants to retire, he retires. If he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want to retire, he doesn't retire. If he's able to keep none, then I think we just have to kind of he's just going to get pushed into that retirement.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win these games, then he's just going to get let go and fired.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be his choice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think those four things really sum it up in deciding Pittman's future.
All right. Well, let's see what happens after the LSU game. And, are we going to be, reacting to a win or a loss? And that'll kind of set the tone for where this conversation goes. So if you made it this far, please throw a like on this video. It really helps our video get out there to other Hog fans. If if you really like this video, come subscribe to the channel and check out some of our past videos and see some of the new ones that are coming up. They'll show up on your home screen whenever you open up YouTube. Don't worry, you won't get any notifications from subscribing like on your phone unless you set those yourself. So all subscribing does is it just is going to suggest our videos to you, not for you. You're still going to have the option to select them later down the road. But it just helps push our content out there. If you think that what we're saying is interesting, maybe if you have any disagreements or a different theory, please post in the comments down below. And we'll see you Hog fans next week. Heartbreak Hogs pod out.
See y'all.